Welcome, new student. I am Darkwood, Elowen Darkwood. I have been instructed to acquaint you with the illustrious history and workings of Hogwarts as a means to fulfill a rather trivial obligation. Why? That is none of your concern. Consider yourself fortunate. Such an opportunity is rarely bestowed. Now, keep up. I won't repeat myself for those who can't keep pace. You are going to take notes, aren't you? Alohomora.
Hogwarts was founded over 1,000 years ago by 4 of the greatest witches and wizards of their time: Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw,
And most importantly, Salazar Slytherin.
Here we have the castle, the heart of magical education. Our founders each contributed to the school, but none were as visionary as Salazar Slytherin.
He believed in the importance of purity in magical bloodlines, a principle that remains a cornerstone of our house.
Salazar Slytherin chose the serpent as our house symbol, representing our cunning, resourcefulness, and ambition. These qualities are what set us apart from the other houses. We Slytherins are destined for greatness, a fact that is evident in the impressive list of notable witches and wizards who have come from our house. Unlike those in Gryffindor, who foolishly rush into danger, we Slytherins take a more strategic approach, ensuring our success with minimal risk. Ravenclaws might pride themselves on their intellect, but it takes more than just book smarts to truly excel. And as for Hufflepuffs, well, they're best left to their gardening and menial tasks. And look what we have here, the portrait of the fat lady, the rather ineffective guardian of the Gryffindor common room. Gryffindors must give her the correct password to gain entry.
Quite the security measure, if you ask me.
Oh, look who we have here. The Weasley twins, Fred and George, along with their sister, Ginny. The twins are notorious for their juvenile pranks and constant need to disrupt peace. And Ginny, not much better, seems to follow in their ridiculous footsteps. They might think they're clever, but their antics are nothing more than a nuisance. Typical Gryffindor behavior, always seeking attention in the most foolish ways possible. Here is the late Albus Dumbledore in his office. He might have been considered a great wizard by many, but his decisions often left much to be desired. His office was filled with all sorts of peculiar artifacts and magical instruments, not to mention that irritating phoenix of his. He had a penchant for meddling and a soft spot for those insufferable Gryffindors. Despite his flaws, he did possess considerable magical power and knowledge, though some might say his judgment was clouded by his overly forgiving nature. Speaking of Gryffindors, here's a lovely image of Harry Potter and his little gang, always sticking their noses where they don't belong.
Honestly, they have the strategic sense of a flobberworm.
And there's Granger and Weasley, the nosy tagalongs. You'd think with all the trouble they get into, they'd have learned by now. But no, it seems they never do. Oh, the very mention of them tires my mind. Let's move on. The entrance hall is the grand entryway into Hogwarts, illuminated by torchlight and boasting a high ceiling that gives a grand impression. Students enter the ground floor space through 2 massive oak doors, flanked by imposing suits of armor. To the right of the entrance doors, you'll find the Great Hall, where the sorting ceremony takes place. It's where you were sorted into the most prestigious house. The floors of the Great Hall are enchanted to remain spotless, no matter how many muddy boots tramp across it. And the ceiling of the Great Hall is enchanted to mimic the sky outside. During the day, it reflects the sun and clouds, and at night, it shows the stars and moon. And here are the kitchens, located directly below the Great Hall. The house elves work here to prepare our meals, ensuring we are well fed. Few students know that if you tickle the pear in the painting of the fruit bowl, it will turn into a door handle, granting you access. The house elves are rather fond of visitors and might even offer you a snack, though I'd advise against indulging too often.
Gluttony is such an unbecoming trait.
From the Great Hall, you can see the grand staircase leading to the upper floors of the castle. The staircase also leads down to the lower levels. To the right of the grand staircase, if you are facing the castle's main entrance, is a passage that takes you here to the dungeons. Now, the dungeons, as you know, is where this Slytherin common room and dormitories are located.
Far from the prying eyes of the other houses, our common room exudes an air of exclusivity and sophistication. The windows look out into the depths of the Black Lake, casting an enchanting, eerie green light.
You might find it interesting that the giant squid occasionally swims by, visible from our common room windows. By the way, the locations and passwords of each house's common room are closely guarded secrets. You won't find a Gryffindor wandering into our Slytherin common room, and for good reason. Our common room and dormitories are far superior, located deep within the dungeons, and only accessible to those who truly belong. It's a matter of house pride and security. The password changes every fortnight. It's posted on the notice board.
Remember, the current password to our common room is pureblood. That is so. Over here, we have the Hogwarts library.
It's home to tens of thousands of books on every conceivable subject, where students from all houses come to study and write their essays. Though many are too intimidated by the strict and possessive Madame Pince to ask for help. But be warned, the restricted section is off limits without a note from a professor.
Many students don't know that if you open some of the books in the restricted section without permission, they will cry or wail loudly. It's quite amusing to watch first years get startled by it.
The library closes promptly at 8 p.m., and Madame Pince is notorious for her draconian rules. If you so much as rip, deface, or mistreat a book, the consequences are dire. Remember, bringing library books outside of the school grounds is forbidden. Not that any self-respecting Slytherin would be caught doing something so plebeian.
This is the Astronomy Tower, the tallest tower at Hogwarts.
It's used for astronomy classes, of course, but also has quite the view of the entire school grounds. Many don't realize it was also where the Battle of the Astronomy Tower took place, which was a significant event during the Second Wizarding War. This battle is infamously known as the place where Albus Dumbledore met his end.
This very war continues as we speak, with many of us Slytherins supporting Dark Lord's return. My father, in fact, is a prominent supporter, and has always believed in the cause. Now, with Professor Snape as headmaster, our chances of triumph have never been greater. It's also a favorite spot for students to sneak off to after hours.
Though, I wouldn't expect you to have the nerve. And here on the first floor is the hospital wing. It's where Madame Pomfrey works her healing magic. She is known for handing out chocolates to help students recover from minor hexes and jinxes.
Now that you have a glimpse of Hogwarts, let's move on to the classes. Did you just ask for a break? Really? A Slytherin needing a break? How quaint. We don't have time for such frivolities. Now, focus.
First, we have Defense Against the Dark Arts, located on the first floor. This class is essential for protecting yourself against the darker aspects of the magical world. Our dear Professor Snape is exceptionally skilled in the subject, of course.
He served as both Potions Master and Defense Against the Dark Arts Professor before becoming Headmaster this year.
Many do not realize the extent of his mastery over the dark arts and his unparalleled skill in occlumency, the magical art of shielding one's mind from external penetration. His contributions to both Slytherin and Hogwarts are immeasurable. Here is a transfiguration classroom where you will learn to change the form and appearance of objects. Transfiguration is a complex and challenging branch of magic, requiring both concentration and skill. Professor McGonagall of Gryffindor teaches this class, but don't let that discourage you.
Slytherins have a knack for excelling in areas others find difficult. Just try not to turn yourself into a teapot. Charms is another fundamental subject.
It involves casting spells to add certain properties to an object or individual. Professor Flitwick of Ravenclaw leads this class. Charms might seem simple, but it's a cornerstone of magical practice. A well-cast charm can make all the difference in a tricky situation.
Lumos. See, even a simple charm like Lumos can be challenging for some, but for a Slytherin, it's second nature. Nox. Not everyone can manage more than basic Lumos after all. Herbology classes are held here in these greenhouses and taught by Professor Sprout. While it involves getting your hands dirty, something I find rather distasteful, knowledge of magical plants and their properties can be quite useful.
Just remember to wear gloves. We wouldn't want you to ruin your robes. Although, if you're keen on herbology, maybe you can help the Hufflepuffs with their little garden projects. They do love their plants.
Did you know that the venomous tentacula, one of the many plants studied in herbology, can reach up to 20 feet long and is known for its lethal fangs? It's fascinating, isn't it? But do try to avoid getting too close.
Oh, and here we have the Room of Requirement, a magical room that appears only when a person is in great need of it. It has been used for various purposes over the years, including as a hiding place and a training room for Dumbledore's army. Of course, it's said that the room can transform itself into any kind of space the seeker needs, though its existence is a closely guarded secret. I wouldn't expect you to find it easily. Astronomy is studied at night. While it might not seem as immediately practical, understanding the movements of celestial bodies can enhance your magical prowess. Plus, the view from the tower is unparalleled.
Try not to fall asleep during stargazing, though I wouldn't be surprised if you did. You'll see that some of the Gryffindors usually nod off. Too much action, not enough intellect. Now, let's see. Here we have potions taught here in the dungeons by our esteemed Professor Slughorn.
Potions requires precision, patience, and a touch of brilliance, qualities we Slytherins possess in abundance. Professor Slughorn, a Slytherin himself, is known for his Slug Club, where he gathers the most talented and influential students. Did you know he taught many famous witches and wizards, including our own Severus Snape, and even Merlin himself?
And of course, Tom Riddle, who later became the Dark Lord, was one of his star pupils. I suppose you might find it difficult to keep up in this class, but do try not to embarrass our house. Colportus. Now that we've covered the basics of classes, let's discuss something a bit more advanced. This is Veritas serum, a powerful truth serum.
It was brewed by none other than Professor Snape himself.
It's said that just 3 drops can force the drinker to reveal their deepest secrets. Of course, it's highly regulated and not meant for casual use, but being a Slytherin, I've managed to acquire some. Let's keep this our little secret, shall we?
Veritas serum is known to be almost foolproof, but there are a few ways to resist its effects. For instance, those with strong enough willpower or training in occlumency can sometimes fend off its influence. It takes exactly 27 days to mature properly. Any less and it becomes unstable, any more and it loses potency. Professor Snape doesn't hand these out lightly. It's a testament to his trust, and perhaps a nod to our house's resourcefulness that I have this.
So, remember, knowledge and cunning are your greatest assets here at Hogwarts. And before I forget, I have some important business to attend to with Draco. He's head boy this year, you know. We're planning something rather special for Potter, but that's none of your concern. Just focus on keeping up, and maybe, just maybe, you'll earn a fraction of the respect that we Slytherins command naturally.